I wasn't planning on doing this today, but I pulled off the drum to make sure the brakes were good and realized I got an axle seal leaking. Alright, with the retainer nuts for the rear axle, I had to remove the springs and the most of the hardware for the brakes. Now, the axle actually came out with enough swearing, so I will set you up hopefully and see what this thing looks like. Oh, they're so close.
Hey, hon?
Yeah.
Is this it? Harbor Freight?
Yes. They're closed.
Okay, I'm gonna see if somebody else has it.
It's coming out. It's just this thing's being a piece of shit.
He has a slide hammer, but not what you need.
Jay has a slide hammer.
Yeah, he said not what you need though for what you're doing.
Got it.
Huh?
I got it.
Oh.
Yeah, the thing was fucking bad. That's not supposed to have oil in it.
You need it for the bearing or you need it for the axle?
I got the axle out. Where I'm at so far. I have the axle out. Definitely leaked. There should not be oil on this side of the seal. The seal is right there. I ordered it online. I had 3 days to put this thing back together before power tour, so that should be interesting. Right, I got the seal out. I ended up using a screwdriver, pliers, and hammer because I bought a brand new actual puller from Harbor Freight and it broke immediately and flung itself down to the axle tube. Luckily I got it out. Got the new seal installed. The new seal. Found some new old stock Mopar ones. Let's see this thing installed. Because I didn't have a tripod when I was filming this, I'm going to kind of try to go over what I did here. The inside of an axle tube looks like this, where you have the outside diameter and you have a shoulder that the seal bottoms out into. The seal, or the shell of it, is steel, the rubber coating on the outside, a tension spring, and the rubber gasket. If you don't have a puller, and I actually had one and it broke in half, and ended up in the axle tube, what I can do, or what you can do, someone can do, is take a screwdriver and put it about here on the seal. Basically what you don't want to do is you don't want to hit the inside of the axle tube, and you don't really need to do anything with this. What you're doing is on the back side, you're breaking this part free. The retention spring is going to come off, and the rubber is going to split, hopefully. But behind it, right here, is the back side of this steel ring. When you put the screwdriver through it, instead of take a hammer and a screwdriver, it's going to crack, and then you should be able to get a pliers, grab it and twist it out. So twist the rubber off, the steel will be exposed, and you can usually bend them in. What will happen is it'll deform this outer part, relieving the tension between the side of the seal and the inside of the axle tube. I obviously did this afterwards. I realized editing this video that I didn't have an explanation of how I got the seal out, and people would ask. Just for clarification, part number is 4643464 on the new one. Here's the old one, original, which is the same number. These are different for 10-inch brakes on a B body versus 9-inch brakes. Oh, on anything really. The 9-inch brakes have a different part number. The 10-inch brakes with 5 studs for the axle retainer is 66 to 70. Instead, I got really lucky that I found 2 original in the box seals. So let's get these installed. For that, I went down to O'Reilly's, rented a bearing installer. Just gonna find one closest to it, drive her in. Also, according to the box, you either want to put grease right here or cover the entire seal in oil before you install it. Alright, we have our new seal installed. We got the tool assembled. Let's put it in on the seal. Take your favorite BFH and tap it in. When it's all the way in, you'll hear it kind of tink, and you'll know it's seated all the way into the thing. I'm going to put some grease in here, and then I need to make a gasket between here and the axle and get it back together. I'm pressed for time, and I don't have time to get a new gasket, so I went to O'Reilly's and picked up some of this Velcro paper, make it yourself gasket stuff, so I can make a seal between the axle flange or retainer to the backing plate for the brake drum. Alright, now that I cut the gasket to the approximate size and got the holes in it, I have to make the hole for the axle to go through. I'll probably just take this and give it a little bit of a rub. I don't want to use a hammer here. Usually you can use a hammer to mark things, but I don't want to use that on the axle, on the opening. Let me get this cut out, get the axle back in. Alright, here's my sweet gasket I made. Don't judge. Whoa. Don't judge. Remember, when you put the axle into the axle shaft, be careful of not damaging the new seal. And I'll slide in. Put the 5 nuts back on, find the Torx back, put the brakes back together, one more thing done. Alright, now that the axle's in, I want to get the axle retaining nuts all torqued to 35 foot-pounds. I went in a star pattern. Sorry, I lost my tripod, so trying to do this one-handed is kind of fun. I already went over these, but I went in a star pattern kind of like you would on a lug nut. Continue all the way around until you're at 35 foot-pounds. I need to reinstall the brake hardware that I had to take off to clear the axle. And we should be done with this project. Alright, springs are back on. Z drums. Now I'm going to clean off the shoes, put the drum back on, adjust the brakes, and go for a test drive. Tomorrow. I'll go for a test drive tomorrow.